Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. It's Tuesday, February 18th, 2014, and I'm Leanne McAdoo. Here's what's coming up tonight.
Tonight, protest in Kiev turned deadly. Then, the Navy describes an Iran hack attack ahead of cybersecurity framework. And Doug Hagman breaks down Baker's suicide. That's next on the InfoWars Nightly News.
I'm never going to commit suicide. Never, 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 never. If I was diagnosed with cancer, I will go with Darth Vader level surgery.
Well, the violent protests in Kiev, Ukraine have taken a deadly turn. At the time of this broadcast, 14 people have died, with hundreds more injured. It's the worst violence being reported since the protests began in late November. Now, it's being painted that these protesters want to join the EU and evil Russia just isn't letting them. But I would venture to say that most of these people could care less about joining the EU or any of the globalist elites, but rather would fight for what little payment they're receiving from Soros and other EU-backed groups. Now, the protesters are reportedly being paid between 15 and 25 euros. The Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland told the National Press Club last December that the U.S. has invested $5 billion in organizing a network to achieve U.S. goals in Ukraine in order to give Ukraine the future it deserves. Now, I guess if she means organizing a network of paid protesters to dismantle the governments that the Ukraine can be looted, like Latvia and Greece, and then Washington can just use the Ukraine to set up bases in order to fight Russia, well, I doubt that that's the future that Ukrainians think they deserve. Now, the average man on the street in Kiev may be fighting for independence from the Russians that have plagued them since Stalin. Against corruption, they may be fighting against crony capitalism, but their leaders are just puppets of the CIA and Western bankers. And unfortunately, what these paid protesters might find when the smoke settles is that the new boss is the same as the old boss. Now, we've talked a little bit about the historical context surrounding the Ukrainian protests, specifically Stalin's campaign to crush the Ukraine. Now, considering the rampant corruption and economic disparity that is facing the Ukrainians, is that something that we're kind of seeing happening here in the U.S.? Just take a look at how Stalin took down the Ukraine in the first place, and let me know if any of this looks familiar to you. First, he removed the leaders and the old order. Here we have the feds attacking the founding fathers, calling them terrorists. They're undermining any opposition or reform with rampant election fraud. There's blatant persecution of party leaders and targeting of Tea Party groups by the IRS, just to name a few. Next, he co-opted the church leaders. Their message was basically support the government or be taken out. Here we have the IRS and the 501c churches dutifully looking the other way and justifying what the government does with Romans 13. Now, here's the big one that should be blatantly obvious. Divide and conquer the population with massive immigration. Now, in the case of the Ukraine, it was with a massive influx of Russians who supported the government and had no loyalty to either the Ukraine, its people, its government, its culture, or its traditions. Now, here in the U.S., amnesty and immigration reform is being shoved down our throats, as well as this attack on our culture. It's not so we can be the country that welcomes people with open arms, but so that voters who will support big government and have no loyalty to America can flood the polls. Phyllis Schlafly broke this down on the Alex Jones Show today.
These people who want to bring in millions of people, they're going to vote Democratic. And we know this not because it's my opinion or because I've talked to them. It's because all of these recognized pollsters have reached a consensus on this, and there's no dispute in it. These pollsters all say that the ones coming in, the big majority of them, are people who believe in big government offering more services than limited government, balanced budgets, and that sort of thing.
That's a very important interview. Watch the rest of it at Infowars.com. But the last technique, and quite possibly the one with the most lasting psychological effects on the Ukrainians, death by forced starvation. Stalin starved the people out with contrived shortages. He introduced a program of agricultural collectivization that forced farmers to give up their private land, equipment, and livestock and join state-owned, factory-like collective farms. Here we have the same thing. They're shutting down small farmers, making it illegal to buy raw products from them, slapping these small farmers with tons of regulations, while government-friendly farms are free to spread contaminated food. And we're, of course, seeing the implementation of Agenda 21 plans, as well as this GMO manufactured food crisis. But of course, they say they're creating the GMOs for this food shortage. Well, if you would just stop shutting down small farms, there wouldn't be food scarcity in cities and towns all over the world. But of course, that's what they do, create the problem and then present the solution so that everyone needs big government.
The globalist social engineers are not just targeting us with propaganda. They are manipulating our genetics. We are being targeted at every level by estrogen mimickers that lower our testosterone and other hormones and natural compounds that the body needs. After consulting top doctors, nutritionists, pharmacists, and others, we have developed what I believe is the ultimate non-GMO organic super male vitality formula sourced from powerful organic herbs and then concentrated for maximum potency. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals. Super Male Vitality by InfoWars Life is so powerful that I only take half the recommended dose. For a limited time, we are offering 15% off Super Male Vitality at InfoWarsLife.com to introduce you to this powerful supplement. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your Super Male Vitality. InfoWarsLife.com.